Okay, this video is going to go over section 7.3, which is adding and subtracting fractions. So unlike multiplying and dividing, once your denominators are the same, when you're adding and subtracting, you only worry about the top. So this first one would be 3 plus 2, 5, bottom stays the same. 3 plus 4 is 7, bottom stays the same. 5 plus 1 is 6, bottom stays the same. Then we say, hey, those are both divisible by 3, so we divide by 3 and get 2/3. Subtracting is the same thing. 12 minus 7 is 5, bottom stays the same, then we simplify. 23 minus 13 is 10, bottom stays the same, then we simplify. So it's pretty straightforward. On your calculator, you can actually enter fractions and get it in lowest terms as long as there's no variables. So let's say we're doing this one here. If I do each fraction with a division sign in parentheses, I have 3/7 plus 2/7. And then if I hit enter, I get a decimal. But if I hit the math button and then enter for that, turn it into a fraction, then it'll give me that fraction in lowest terms. Another option with some of the calculators is alpha frac. So alpha is the green button, and then if you hit the number right next to it, the x, t, theta, n button, it'll bring up a fraction, and you can just type. So let's say we're doing this one, 5, use the arrow to get to the 9, then plus, do the same thing, alpha frac, 1/9, and it'll give you the decimal, hit math, enter, and it'll turn it into a fraction in lowest terms. This works the same way with your rational expressions. You just have to get everything multiplied out, then combine like terms, then simplify. So this first one, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 over b, ends up being the same thing. Oops. This next one, z plus 2 is on the top, so we do z plus 2. Bottom stays the same. Now we were simplified just like we did with the multiplying and dividing. So z plus 2 over z plus 2 is 1. Here, we're going to combine the top. So x minus 1 plus 1. Then if I combine like terms, -1 plus 1 is 0, so it's just x. On the bottom, we'd have x squared plus x. Take out the greatest common factor of x. We'd be left with x times x plus 1. Then those x's are going to cancel, so we're left with 1 over x plus 1. Next problem, same thing. If we're combining like terms, we have a t squared. Then we have t plus -3t, which would give us -2t, plus 1. Then on the bottom, we just carry that across, t minus 1. Now we want to factor the top so we can simplify. So a times c. Factors of 1 would be -1 and -1. Greatest common factor, multiply up, multiply across, and we're left with t minus 1, t minus 1. So on the top, we have t minus 1 over t minus 1. On the bottom, we have t minus 1. So those cancel, and our final answer is just t minus 1. Subtracting, which is down below, is the same thing. Just make sure you subtract your like terms instead of add. Don't drop your negatives. Try which ones you can on here and see how you do. Okay, this one, 4 plus 5 is 9. Common denominator is xy. Stop there because we can't reduce. On the top, we have a plus b. On the bottom, we have a squared minus b squared. A squared minus b squared is a difference of squares, so we can rewrite that as a plus b times a minus b. Bring the a plus b from the top straight over. Cancel those out, and we're left with 1 over a minus b. Next problem. There's no other like term. Oops. There's no other like term for the a on top. And then +1 minus 1 is 0. Denominator's a. Same on the top and the bottom, you're left with 1. Now we have a couple subtraction ones. 2y minus 3y. When you're combining like terms, 2 minus 3 is negative 1, so you'd be left with negative y on top. 3y minus 1 on the bottom, and that's your solution. Okay, last one on this thing is 1 minus a negative. So when you're minusing a negative, you're really adding. So the top would be 3 plus x. Bottom is 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. We're going to tic-tac-toe that. A times c. Factors of negative 6 would be 6 and negative 1. Greatest common factor is 1. Multiply up, multiply across, and we're left with 2x minus 1 and x plus 3. On the top, 3 plus x is the same as x plus 3. So once we write it like that, we can cancel, and we're left with 1 over 2x minus 1. When your denominators match, adding and subtracting is pretty straightforward. So let me know if you have any questions.